Mira, building a global fan base as the new kings of Cantopop. You can see them on their first World Feel the Passion tour tomorrow at the UBS Arena.
They've dropped a new single. It's called Day Zero.
Hello， 大家翻到嚟六狗學英文。
係99個男仔呢位。
How to say this in English?
Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. So in this episode, we're going to continue with my comments on Mira's interview on Fox 5 News in New York. After watching their interview online, especially with my subtitled version, if you haven't watched it already, please go back to my playlist before proceeding with today's comments. And of course, there are a few points that I want to focus on based on the pronunciation and the language. Now, of course, the first few times when I was watching it, I was a little bit picky as a teacher. But after understanding that they had very little time to sleep,
maybe slept for 2 hours and then maybe slept for 2 hours and then...
And they also just had that vigorous, intense dance routine. And they were doing the interview right after, I would give them some props for doing so well already. Now let's start with pronunciation. The first word that I want to focus on is the word overwhelming. The problem with it is that the word over in the front of the word is not stressed. And if we pronounce them very prominently, overwhelming, it would sound a little unnatural, especially when he was saying it almost like overwhelming, oval, overwhelming. We'll try to say the word without focusing too much on the over part, overwhelming, but more on the whelm part. So we would say the word as overwhelmed, or in that case, in ing form, overwhelming. Now here are a list of words with over in front. How would you pronounce them correctly? Yes, and they are overjoyed, overwork, overrun, overcharge, and override. Now the other word that he said was enjoy. Similar concept as in English, there could be more than one syllable in each word, and there's only one main stress in each word. And when the syllable is not stressed, we should not pronounce them so prominently. Enjoy. For example, this word right here, because the first syllable en is not stressed, we should not pronounce it as en. Enjoy. The first syllable is not stressed. We should use the weak vowel sound instead. Now, I have talked about weak vowel sound before in my older videos, so if you're interested to know what weak vowel sounds are, I'll put the link down below in the description box.
It's not stressed. We call that the weak vowel or the schwa sound. Now, this looks like the upside down reversed E, but this is a schwa sound.
And so the en part with the weak vowel sound should be pronounced more like in. So we should say enjoy. Now here are a list of words starting with en, and they're all not stressed. How would you pronounce them? You're right, they should be entire, enable, enrich, ensure, engage. Now as for Stanley and Ian, they pronounced correctly with the ed sounds. For example, the word landed.
Just landed. Back up.
Although you could make it a little bit clearer if you were taking an exam. In both their cases, they have pronounced the ed sounds correctly when the word ended with t or d sound.
Just landed. Back up.
Only with words with the t or d ending sound, not the spelling, would be pronounced with the d sound. For example, a lot of English learners would pronounce the following words like this: walked it, loved it, worked it, laughed it, danced it, which is wrong. These words, without the t or d ending sounds at the end, the past tense form should have been walked, loved, worked, laughed, danced. Now, how about these words that end with the t or d ending sounds? That's right, it should be attended, dated, graduated, banded, ended. Two more things I would like to point out is when Stanley was pronouncing the name of the person that they're collaborating with.
Dame.o.l.l.a.
Dame should be pronounced with the double vowel sound, which we normally refer it as a diphthong.
Dame.
The E-I-A sound. You should be striding through E and I sound. A, dame. And here are a list of words that would have the similar pronunciation with the A sound. How would you say them? That's correct. It should be same, came, game, name. And finally, there is something called connected sounds in English, which is something that IELTS examiners look for if you're aiming for higher scores in the pronunciation department. When Ian pronounced the name of this city,
An L.A.
the L and A could have been linked together to pronounce the LA sound.
An L.A.
So the A should have been pronounced more like a lay.
An L.A.
LA sound. Now, connected speech would require a whole new video to talk about. And so if you're interested, please stay tuned for future episodes. As for the language, Anson did perfectly with all those vocabulary that he used, particularly in this one single answer.
Embrace and also absorb genre of music, signature, unique melodic style.
All these words are considered uncommon vocabulary that examiners are looking for in IELTS. And if you can use more uncommon vocabulary, you can guarantee to get at least a 7, if not an 8 in your vocabulary. But of course, there are two instances where he had a little bit trouble. For example, when he was referring to the music style, when he said,
including Western styles.
The Western style is actually a very particular type of music, more like the cowboy, country, folk music. So he could have used the term American music or American pop music. At the same time, he struggled a little bit when the host asked if Rosanna could just blend into the boy band by just standing there.
No one could tell that you are not.
Exactly. All right. We feel like
Actually, you can just simply pretend that, well, you know what? No one could tell that you're not part of us. As for Stanley, there is one common problem for most English learners, which is the S or no S, meaning if the word is a plural or a singular noun. Now, when he says
that because some of us are huge fan of NBA players.
Now, because some of us is more than one person, and so it would have been fans instead of fan. It would have been some of us are huge NBA fans. When the word is singular, the word is countable, we would have to put the article a or an in front of it. I am a huge fan. Or we are huge fans.
That because some of us are huge fan of NBA players.
As you can see that if you make mistakes with plural or singular noun along with having an article or not, you're making a double mistake, and you definitely don't want that in any speaking tests. Ian also made a similar mistake.
A few days ago.
And of course, there should have been the article a in front of few. Like a few days ago. Another confusing vocabulary that he used was located.
Located in San Francisco and LA, respectively.
Now, when we use the word located, we're talking about a certain building or a place that is permanently, or at least for a duration of time, being in that address. And so when he was referring to the concerts, he could have just used the word held. The concerts were held in San Francisco and LA. Or if he wanted to use the word located, he could have referred to the venues. The Oakland Arena located in San Francisco. And he also used the word respectively.
Located in San Francisco and LA, respectively.
Now, when we use the word respectively, we're talking about two very different things doing very different actions. For example, he is a teacher and she is a singer, respectively. He and she are two different people, and they're doing two very different jobs. Last episode, I already mentioned how the host got a little confused when Stanley said this.
The best singer in the group.
Also, you. Also, you.
What?
He could have just told her the best singer or the best dancer is just standing right next to you. Another common mistake is forgetting to use the article the before the superlative adjectives best.
Group.
Best and it's just near you.
So please remember words like big, bigger, the biggest, tall, taller, the tallest. And so we have good, better, and the best. After all, this interview was done really well, except for some minor mistakes. And if I have to give them a score out of 9 on the IELTS scale, I would say that pronunciation is at least a 7. As for the language part, for the grammar, it's probably a 6 to a 7. And for the vocabulary, especially for Ananson, it's a solid 7, or he could even snatch an 8. As for fluency and coherence, because it wasn't really done in an exam context, and under the circumstances that they were having a lack of sleep, and they just performed right before the interview, I would go a little easy on them. But as for the coherence, it could have been a little bit better organized, especially since the questions were probably prepared in advance. A little bit more structure and organization could have been better if you were taking an exam. So overall, I would say that this interview would have been at least a band 7 overall. I don't know if you agree with the score that I gave. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share.
大家可以 follow 佢 IG 同埋 YouTube 啦，呢個佢個名係Oh My 6 Dots。